Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. You know, AI is everywhere right now, and things are changing so fast it's tough to keep up.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're doing today. We've got a ton of articles and research about how the biggest tech companies are reacting to this AI explosion. We're talking Google, Meta, Apple.
Don't forget Elon Musk.
Right, and his company, XAI. So let's jump into it. What are their strategies? What are they doing? Who's ahead?
And what does all this mean for everyone else?
Exactly. I think it's helpful to start by thinking back to the early days of Google.
Okay.
Remember life before Google? How did we even find information back then?
It's really hard to imagine, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Well, AI has the potential to change things just as much, maybe even more.
For sure.
We're already seeing it with things like ChatGPT from OpenAI. You have a chance to play around with that?
A little bit, yeah.
It's pretty amazing what it can do, right? But it's more than just a fun chatbot.
Way more.
This is a kind of things to come. I mean, these AI platforms could become the way we do all sorts of work.
Everything from writing emails to designing websites.
Exactly. So OpenAI's strategy seems pretty clear. Launch a bunch of cool AI tools, make it available to developers, and see what happens.
Right, and it's working. I mean, they're trying to become the foundation that everyone else builds on.
The platform.
Yeah, the platform. And all those users, that gives them a ton of data.
Which helps them make their AI even better.
Exactly. It's a smart strategy.
But what about Google? They've been a lot quieter on the AI front. I mean, Google's the king of search, and they make most of their money from advertising.
Right.
So you'd think they'd be all over this AI stuff.
Well, it's a bit more complicated.
How so?
Well, a really powerful AI could completely change how people search for information, right?
Yeah.
And that could disrupt their whole business model.
Interesting. So they have to be careful. It's almost like they're stuck.
Yeah, in a way they are.
Okay, so what about Meta? They're the social media powerhouse, right? And they're no stranger to using AI. They've been using it for years to personalize your news feed and target ads, stuff like that. But now they're getting into this whole generative AI thing where AI can actually create content.
Yeah, it's pretty cool what they're doing. I mean, their real strength is in user engagement, right?
With things like Facebook and Instagram.
Exactly. They're adding all these AI-powered tools that make it easier for people to create content.
Writing captions, editing photos and videos, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. They're basically trying to make AI accessible to everyone.
Not just developers and tech experts.
That's the key.
But here's where things get really interesting. Meta decided to make their LLM language model open source.
Yeah, big decision.
That's a huge difference from what other companies are doing.
It is.
So open source means anyone can access the code, modify it, do whatever they want with it.
Yep.
Seems like they're betting big on transparency.
And community-driven development.
But that also seems really risky, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, there are risks, for sure.
I mean, what if someone uses that open source AI to create something really bad? Harmful content, misinformation, that kind of thing.
Right, those are all valid concerns, things Meta's going to have to deal with.
So we've got OpenAI going for the platform, Google holding back a bit, and Meta embracing open source.
And then there's Elon Musk.
Right. We can't forget about him and his company, XAI. They just launched their own version of ChatGPT called Grok 3.
And it's already getting a ton of attention.
So how is XAI approaching things differently?
Well, they're all about vertical integration.
What does that even mean?
It means they control every part of their technology. The hardware, the software, everything.
Interesting. So what's the advantage of that?
Speed. They can move a lot faster and make changes much more easily than companies who have to rely on other companies for parts of their technology.
I see. Makes sense. And don't forget they own Twitter now, too.
Or X, whatever they're calling it these days.
Right, which gives them a massive platform to test and integrate their AI.
Exactly.
So they're a real wild card in all of this.
Big time.
And then there's Apple. What are they up to? They've been super quiet about this whole generative AI thing.
Yeah, they're definitely lagging behind.
I mean, Apple's known for their hardware and user experience, but it seems like they're missing out on a huge opportunity.
Well, some analysts are worried about that.
But maybe they've got something up their sleeve. Apple's good at surprising people.
It's possible. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, it's crazy to think about how different each company is approaching this whole AI thing.
Right. It really is. But let's zoom out for a second.
Okay.
What does all of this mean for, the average person? Not a tech expert, someone just using these tools.
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? How is AI actually going to change our lives?
I mean, it's already happening, right? Think about the stuff you see on social media, the articles you read, the music you listen to. AI is a bigger and bigger part of all that.
Definitely. And Meta is a perfect example.
How so?
Well, they're really betting big on AI to make their platforms more engaging for users.
Okay.
Like, imagine you're on Instagram and you want to write a caption for your photo, but you're just drawing a blank.
Yeah.
What if AI could just generate a bunch of different captions for you?
That would be pretty cool.
Right? Or you could use AI to create a video montage with music and special effects all automatically.
It's like having a personal creative assistant.
Exactly. And it's not just social media either. We're seeing AI tools for all sorts of stuff.
Okay.
Like writing emails, designing presentations, even things like composing music.
Wow, so this could be a game changer for small businesses and individuals.
Absolutely. It gives them access to tools and capabilities that used to only be available to big companies.
It's pretty amazing to think about all the possibilities, but there are some concerns too, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, what happens to jobs in creative fields if anyone can just generate high-quality content with a click of a button?
Right. That's a legitimate worry. I think we need to be realistic about the potential downsides of AI, even as we get excited about the potential.
Yeah, it's not like AI is going to magically solve all our problems.
No, definitely not. I think it's more about figuring out how we can adapt to these changes and prepare for the future.
So instead of being afraid of AI, we should be thinking about how we can use it to our advantage.
Exactly. How can we learn new skills and adapt to the changing demands of the job market?
So it's more about working with AI than being replaced by it.
Right. It's about augmenting human creativity, not replacing it.
That makes sense. Okay, so we've talked about how these companies are approaching AI, but what about the bigger picture? What happens if one company becomes too dominant in the AI space?
Oh, that's a really important question.
Right. Like, what if one company controls most of the AI development and how it's used?
Well, that could have a huge impact on the direction of the technology and how it benefits society.
Yeah, it's kind of scary to think about.
It is. It's like we need to make sure there's a balance of power so that AI benefits everyone, not just a select few.
And that's why I think it's so interesting that Meta decided to go open source with Llama.
Yeah, it's a pretty radical approach.
It is. They're essentially saying, let's make AI accessible to everyone.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to democratize AI development.
Exactly. And that could lead to more innovation and competition.
Potentially, yeah. It's too early to say for sure if it'll work, but it's definitely a bold move.
It is. All right. So we've talked about OpenAI, Google, Meta, XAI. But what at Apple?
Yeah, what are they up to? It's hard to say because they're so secretive.
Right, but they have a lot going for them.
Oh, yeah, they've got a huge user base, a strong brand, and a reputation for making really user-friendly products.
And they have tons of data on their users, which is essential for training AI.
Exactly. But they've also been very vocal about protecting user privacy.
So can they really compete in this AI race without sacrificing privacy?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? They need to find a way to balance their commitment to privacy with the potential of AI.
It's a tough challenge for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle it.
So we've got these 5 major players, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. And it's impossible to say who's going to come out on top.
The landscape is changing so fast.
It really is. But one thing is clear.
What's that?
AI is here to stay.
Definitely. It's already changing the world, and it's only going to become more important in the years to come.
So the question for all of us is, how do we see AI fitting into our lives?
That's something we all need to think about.
Because the choices we make today are going to shape the role AI plays in our future. You know, it feels like we're at this crossroads with AI.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
On one hand, we have all this incredible potential.
Right. AI could help us solve some of the world's biggest problems, like curing diseases, developing new materials, even composing amazing music.
Exactly. But on the other hand, there's this fear of the unknown.
Yeah, like what if AI takes our jobs? What if it's used for harmful purposes? Who controls this technology?
It's definitely a double-edged sword.
For sure. I think the key is to have open and honest conversations about the potential benefits and the risks.
Yeah, we can't just ignore the potential downsides.
Right. We need to work together to make sure AI is developed responsibly and ethically.
Absolutely. One of the things that worries me is this concentration of power in the hands of these big tech companies.
I get that. Like, what happens if just a few companies control most of AI development?
Yeah, it could really stifle innovation. And it might mean that AI only benefits a select few, not everyone.
That's why I'm so fascinated by Meta's open source approach.
Me too. Releasing their Llama model, that was a bold move.
It really was. It's like they're saying, hey, let's democratize AI. Let's make this technology available to everyone.
Exactly.
Which could lead to more innovation, more competition.
More choices for users.
Right. But it's a risk. It remains to be seen if that approach will really work.
So what could we do as individuals? How do we prepare ourselves for this future where AI is everywhere?
I think the most important thing is to stay informed.
Yeah, read about it. Play around with different AI tools.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Challenge the assumptions you hear. Think critically about the information you're given.
Because ultimately, the future of AI is not set in stone.
Nope. We're all shaping it together.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into AI, I think the big takeaway is this.
Okay, what's that?
AI is a tool. A powerful tool, but it's up to us to decide how we use it.
That's a great way to put it.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.